welcome to the TVMusic Network Podcast with Phyllis and Belinda. I'm Belinda.
And I'm Phyllis.
And today we're going to talk about TV shows.
Yeah, their new fall season is coming up for 2024, and there are so many shows that are on between the network, between things that are streaming, and because there's so much to cover and there's so many shows that we've been watching, we decided that we're going to break this podcast up in two parts. And this is going to be our fall preview part one.
Yes, there is so many. I didn't even realize.
I know.
How many TV shows.
Until you start planning, start doing interviews, start trying to watch screeners. That's when you realize that you're overwhelmed with the amount of shows that there are.
Who knew? Does it just seem like there's more shows than normally, or does it seem like there's more shows because I've been helping you cover them? Is that what I mean?
I think that's one of the reasons, and I think another reason too is because everything kind of stalled when we had the writer strike and the actor strikes, and so now things are slowly picking up again. I don't think they're getting back to normal yet, but they've picked up considerably, so there are a lot more shows to focus on and a lot more shows to cover.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It is because the writer's strikes. I just remembered a friend of mine was just saying that they had to do two shows back to back.
Right.
And then another show was being in production, and they were like sharing the crew because of the writer's strike.
Right.
People don't really realize the writer's strike started last July it was? Was the writer's strike, then it was the actor's strike?
Mm-hmm.
No, the writer's strike started before that. It started like in May.
Before.
It was May, and then the actor strike started in July. I don't have the correct numbers. But anyway, so what happened was all these shows, everything got delayed between like May, basically to like October, because the time the strike got settled and whatever. So that's why you're probably seeing more shows than you possibly have ever seen before. And you also are going to probably see more canceled shows. Yes. Only because a lot of shows got canceled because of like travel, because of the budget,
and they weren't able to negotiate with the strikes and things. So
some people don't understand that. Unfortunately, that happens too, where if a show shoots down under, and then all of a sudden they're like, the writer's strike, this gets pushed back, and you have to do. So a lot of things happen. But anyway, let's talk about what is coming on, because there is a lot of
stuff going on, and there's a lot of things that that we like, that we recommend that you watch. A lot of things that hey, to each their own. There's so much television that there's a lot of great work out there. So even if we don't cover everything, just know that there's a lot of other stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, let's start with NBC.
Okay.
Yeah, NBC. It feels like it's finally here, because we go to a television convention twice a year called TCA, where you get a preview of a lot of the shows that are coming up.
Right.
And the actors are there. They speak about the show. And a lot of times you get screeners to watch to prepare you for this conference. So it feels like some of these shows we're going to talk about now that have come out, I've seen them back in February. Was it February we went to this thing?
I don't know.
I want to say it was February, and then the second one was like in July. So it's like, you go twice a year. So it feels like, wow. But anyway, let's get started. There's Reba McEntire has a new show.
Yeah, called Happy's Place. She's reuniting with Melissa Peterman, and this is the two of them worked together on her first show, Reba, that was very successful, very popular. And she'd been looking for a vehicle to get her back on television for a long time. And she finally found one with a Happy Place. And we're going to see Reba a lot this fall, because she's one of the coaches on The Voice. She won The Voice last year. I think this is her second season now.
Yeah.
Where she is paired in her coaching panel.
She won her first week. Second season, right? She won her first season.
Yeah.
With Asher. It was the first season. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so then
make sure.
She's with coaching with Gwen Stephani, coaching with Snoop Dogg, and coaching with Michael Buble. But in the meantime, she's going to be in a sitcom. And the premise of this one is she inherits a bar from her father, who has passed away, and she also learns that she has a half sister that she didn't know about, and the sister's young, and the two of them have to kind of get to know each other and figure out what's going on in that, and it's called Happy Place because the name of the bar is Happy's. You know what I like about it is that the two of them are back together and as a pair of people. I think that's good. And the cast is pretty good. Everybody that's in it, I think that it'll be a must-see. It's paired against Up with George Lopez. They're doing their Friday night family nights. I don't know if a lot of people remember, but remember on Friday nights there would be all these sitcoms because people couldn't really go anywhere. They didn't really go out on Friday nights. They had all the kids. They had everybody, so people would just park in front of the TV and watch television. Maybe that's the same feeling with this Friday night block on NBC.
Oh yeah, I used to tape those on Friday night.
Right.
You would tape 3 or 4 shows. They all came on, and you would tape it, and the news would come on, and then Friday night videos would come on.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And the
Friday night videos
used to show all videos from the 80s, and I know it's early in the podcast, but anytime you can throw in an 80s reference,
you
have to do it.
Right.
I remember watching that video and seeing George Michael pop up, and he's wearing that orange sweatshirt, and it was a clip of we hadn't seen him in a while. It was a clip of Wave You Go, and I screamed like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, that was.
You would see David Bowie and all that. It was Friday night videos.
Friday night videos. Yeah, that was actually like the jam. Mm-hmm. That we would sit and wait for Friday night videos, which is funny. So anyway, let's just get back on to topic.
If you went out, you would tape with your VCR.
Yep.
And you would come back, and then you would tape it. But
anyway,
your
big heavy VCR, your heavy video cassettes. Maybe we're looking for sponsors. Maybe we can find Philips or some old
people just don't
people
know.
That could sponsor us.
That
some old like repair shops, whatever.
You would never know. But anyway, so that's one of the things. So I think they're going back to that Friday. I mean, since the 80s, they have done a lot of Friday night blocks, a lot of Friday night things.
Yeah, so let's hope.
Because a lot of people don't go out on Friday night. You might stay home. You might watch a movie. You have your family, and you get together. So I'm hoping it does well for you.
And Reba has a big following. So we'll see her on Mondays.
Yeah.
Then Mondays and Tuesdays, and then Fridays starting in October. I think it premieres sometime in October.
Yeah, it's good in October.
Yeah.
And then David Allen Greer David Allen Greer has a new show, and that was really funny.
He does. St. Dennis Medical. Yeah. It's him, Wendy McCullen Covey, and I would say it's a Scrubs mixed with The Office, mixed with Modern Family. It's a single camera, sort of like a mockumentary kind of show. And they're in the medical profession, and David plays a doctor, like the senior medical staff on the show, and Wendy plays the hospital administrator. And I say that one was funny. It had some laughs to it.
Is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be a comedy, or is it a drama, or is it a little bit of both? Because it had a lot of.
So it's The Bear. It's a little dramedies.
It's kind of well, that's a whole nother thing we'll talk about on our Emmy podcast.
But we've always had. There's always been a thing with the single camera comedy. A lot of people they have more drama, serious tones and stuff than one that's a 4-camera, a multicam, but still, it's a comedy. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay. But I thought it was very funny. It was ripped in sarcasm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that were going on, and the nurses there that were pretty funny. The administrators, were funny. They all had the patients, and the thing about it is there could be a different cast all around, different patients every week. There could be different guest stars, but I thought it was good. It seemed like it was a different role for David.
Yeah, yes.
Than a lot of things that he does, but I'm rooting for it, and I'm rooting for the show to do well.
Yeah, one thing he said, and I thought it was very interesting. We talked to him about this TV show, and we're asking about playing different parts and taking on different parts, and how that's when it always comes up, especially with Afro-Americans in a cast. Do you have a say-so? Can you talk about your character?
Right.
Can you say stuff? And he said one of the things he really liked was that when he was reading the script, he's like, wait a minute, I'm this brother, I live where, I'm doing what, I'm doing this. And he said he went to the writers and said, hey, I just want to let you know, this ain't realistic, and this is so people are going to relate to that. And they actually they actually swerved some things towards some of the stuff he said, and he felt that he had an input. And he goes, whether they took it or not, it wasn't going to be up to him, but he just thought, I got to put my input in this, because my people are going to be watching this, and they're going to be thinking these things, just like, I was thinking. And when he said that, I had to laugh, because as we were watching it, before we talked to him, it came up.
Right.
And he's always funny. He was so funny. He was like, I'm your biggest fan. I just want to come talk to the Thomas sisters and say how much I love you guys.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he loved us. I know.
Like, he came up to talk to us.
I know. I'm like, David Allen Greer.
He's coming to talk to us.
Right.
Saying that he was a fan because a funny thing happened during the panel.
Wonderful.
And I guess he's just like, I just want to come over. I'm like, oh, we're going to go over and talk to him, but some people are talking to him and you're waiting. And you have to try to get as many people you can at this party. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, he's busy. I'm not going to talk to him. And then all of a sudden he's leaving. I thought, well, he's leaving now. And he comes up to us, or we're waiting to talk to Reba. And he's like, I just want to. So we started doing this interview. It was great.
Right.
But, so I'm really rooted for him and that show. And Wendy, we always love Wendy. Wendy keeps the show. Wendy's great.
Yeah.
I love her personality. She's one of those people you meet and you just like her. And you get that impression that if you see her at that event, she's going to be the same person if you run into her at a Rite Aid.
Right.
Or something like that. Because that's something you see at an event, and then you see them at other places, and you're like, oh, didn't I see this person? And you're like, okay. And you're like, I don't want to bother because you're not working, but yeah, but we like Wendy. So that was that show. And then we have, is it Brilliant Minds?
Yes,
because I haven't seen this one yet, but I know you saw it. I just want to make sure I get the title. Title correct.
Yeah, Zachary Quinto, Teddy Sears, Donna Murphy, and I always say her name wrong. I apologize. It's Timberla Perry.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah,
she was so great when we saw her.
Yeah, they star in this medical drama. Zach Quinto is a very eccentric doctor. It's based on the real life medical experiences of Oliver Sacks, who was a brilliant, psychologist and stuff, and helped a lot of psychology patients. And it's a medical drama, and it's all about this Dr. Wolf's not really conventional ways of treating patients and doing things. He has a bunch of, interns, medical students that are learning things for the first time. So you think Grey's Anatomy without the soap opera aspect of it so much. Not as much personal lives or things like that, at least not yet anyway, from, the episodes I've seen. But it's a pretty good show. What I liked about it is it makes you think. You get to see about things that you didn't really think of before. Zach Quinto is always great. He's such a great actor, very charismatic, very open and stuff. He has really, really good chemistry with Timberla, who plays his boss, Dr. Pierce. And I don't know, it's just really good. When you think about medical procedures and stuff, NBC has a lot now. With Chicago, they had Transplant that was running for a while. They had Amsterdam's, and the mother of them all, that kind of like revived the genre ER back in the day. So just think of all those great medical shows and stuff, and you will think Brilliant Minds.
Could it be the next ER?
No.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because ER is unique on its own.
Yeah.
But it's a show
it's a hard show to follow.
Yeah. But I think that people will be happy, will be happy with it and will want to watch it.
Okay. And then there's two shows. Let's talk about a couple shows that are returning. We have The Voice.
Yes,
The Voice. We'll do a full podcast on The Voice at a later time. But they have new coaches. I think we mentioned it briefly.
What do you think of the chemistry?
Reba's back. Gwen's back.
Yeah.
And then we have two new coaches. We have Michael Buble and we have Snoop Dogg. Now, Snoop Dogg we saw before because he was a mega mentor.
Right.
Michael Buble has been on the show, but I don't think he's done any mentoring. Or was he Blake's advisor one season?
I thought he was an advisor
one season. He may have been. Usually when they pop
so
up.
So many, I can't remember now, but I think that he was an advisor
usually before they become a coach, they pop up some kind of way.
Well, yeah, you got to give them a test.
Yeah, you got to give them a test.
To see how well they're going to do a camera, how well they're going to be with people.
Yeah, and the show just premiered.
Yeah,
it's for its first week.
Yeah.
And I think the Reba Gwen chemistry is there. We knew that.
Oh,
was that. Snoop Dogg, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people. Because when he was the mega mentor, I remember they announced it, and we wrote about it, of course, and everybody was like, very, what's he going to do? Yeah. Is he a rapper?
He's super successful.
What's going to happen?
He's super popular.
And all that. And I think he was surprised a lot of people as a mentor, as did Chance the Rapper when he was a judge. People think these rappers come on, they're judges.
Right.
And people think they can't judge just rappers.
Right.
But I think Snoop Dogg is going to surprise a lot of people.
I think he's going to be a really good coach.
I think he's the people that are picking him so far, are people that you don't think would be picking him, and his approach is really, his approach is good. Like I said, we'll get more into details on our own podcast.
Oh, and what I must say about him too is that he was really like the face of NBC this summer.
Yes,
being at the Olympics.
Yes,
as the the unofficial host, he was talking to the Olympians, making everybody feel loved. And if there's one thing that people have in common, it's Snoop. A lot of people, kids love him, people love him. He defines pretty much all genres and stuff at the moment. And he's a grandpa, he's a businessman, and, he still has his music, and he's a music mogul, so I think that's great. He's a great fit for NBC, I feel.
If you had told me in 1990, 92, 93 that Snoop Dogg would be running...
Or even 2000.
Oh, 2000, I've been like... Okay, if you say so, I don't see it happening. But
exactly,
I know. Yep,
I know.
And
you go, Snoop.
And then Michael Buble. So far, his approach is pretty good. I haven't had a chance to really figure out how he's going to work with his dynamics.
Well,
is he going to be like? I guess it depends. What it's kind of hard because they do this audition and they don't see who they are, and then they turn around.
Right, sure.
And they pick them out, and then they pick their teams, and then they got to look at their teams. Well, the teams pick them. Then they have to get this decision where they have 18 people, and then you got to go, okay, I got 3 soul singers, I only need 1. I got 3 country singers.
Right.
And you start, that's why when you watch that show and so many good people go home, you're like, it was so good.
Well,
they start have to eliminate because you only get to have 3 or 4 at the end, and you don't want to have 3 the same genre, and your style usually picks who picks you. Like if you're a soul singer, you always go with the soul.
Right, exactly.
And we're just going to have all these country people. So...
Michael is going to be the best coach.
Okay.
And I think he is because of his vocal technique, his style of singing, and he's more like, he's a great entertainer.
Oh, yeah.
He is, but he's not known for dancing, he's not known for this, he's more like for vocalies. He has a great rapport and stuff with the audience. Not to say that Reba doesn't, and Gwen doesn't, and Snoop doesn't, but I feel like he probably has better vocal technique. So when you get the younger kids, you get somebody else who just wants to sing.
On that coaching session. He plays, he can arrange the music.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And all of them can do that too. They're great producers. Gwen's a great showman. Reba's a good showman. Snoop's a good showman. But I think as far as like vocal technique, I think Michael is going to be the best coach in that sense.
Well, The Voice returns.
Mark my words.
It's already on. It returns.
Yeah.
And lastly, for NBC, you got to talk about a returning show called Found.
Oh, Found. Oh, my God.
Get caught up.
Found
if you are not
is
caught up,
such a great
get
show.
Caught up.
It's basically a woman who was, if you haven't seen it, then these aren't spoilers. But if you haven't seen it, please watch. So then that way you will know. But anyway, it's a woman who was kidnapped and held captive for almost a year by a man who turned out to be her teacher. And she hasn't quite gotten over it. She's an older woman now, and she runs a detective agency. And her mission is to find missing girls, find missing people that kind of get lost in the shuffle as far as being missing, where they didn't run away. And sometimes people think they ran away or they're missing or something like that. And she ended up finding her kidnapper and holding him prisoner, kidnapping him same way he kidnapped her in a sense. And it's all about that. She kept him prisoner in the cell, and a lot of people didn't know. And then it really peaked this season as more people found out what she had done. And so now the second season coming up, and you can probably watch trailers online. I'll have a trailer up on the site that'll talk about what's going to happen this upcoming season, where the kidnapper now is going to be the one that's going to be in control again during the second season. It'll be interesting to see how she handles it and how all the staff reacts to her.
I must admit, when you first started watching it,
it was good
last year, and I just was sitting here around. It happens sometime when you live with your sister and you're watching a show and you're doing something else. You kind of get involved in it, and all of a sudden I started looking up and I'm like,
addictive.
What's happening here? And all of a sudden I'm like, have you watched that yet?
Yeah.
So I started getting into it. But one thing about it, I like it, there's twists and turns. You don't know what's going to happen. Just when you think you know, they do something different. And it's just like, it's such a unique show. I can't even explain it.
Right.
But if you haven't watched it, at least tune in and see what you think.
And one of the things, it stars Shanola Hampton. She was in Shameless. And Mark Paul Gosselaar, who has been in everything. And this particular role is one you would not expect him to be in. Yeah. So good.
So good. Why don't, I was going to go to, let's go to CBS Nets.
Okay,
let's go to CBS Nets.
All right.
No, I had a little order and I just switched it real quick.
Go ahead.
CBS. You're going to talk about what's going on at CBS.
I am?
Yes,
okay.
You are.
So, let's see. What's going on at CBS? CBS is doing, you know what I could call it? It's a campaign. It's like we're laughing at CBS. There's a thing where they talk about comedy. They are having a campaign right now, which is really funny. It's a sit-down comedy situation.
They did a really good job with that, too.
They did a really good job with it. Where they have a Monday night comedy block, a Monday night comedy hour, and a Thursday night comedy hour. The Thursday night comedy hour consists of Ghost, which is returning, I believe, for a fourth season. And that's been super successful. And they're having Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, which is a spin-off of The Big Bang Theory. Now, Ghost, I went to their preview night that they had for the shows that's coming on Thursday nights and on Monday nights with The Neighborhood and with Cedric the Entertainer and Tashina Arnold and Max Greenfield and Beth Phares. And then they had the new show coming on after that. It's Poppa's House, which is Damon Wayans Sr. and Damon Wayans Jr., which should be fun. It's a situation in itself. Now, on Thursday nights, I'll start with Thursday first, they have Ghost, like I said, which is returning. And we got to see a little sneak peek of it, and during Ghost, you'll see a little bit of, like, Pete is still getting used to his powers, where he can leave the property, if people haven't watched the show. It's very funny. I recommend that you watch it. And then Pete's ex-wife, Carol, who he found out after the fact that they were not really into each other, or weren't really, she wasn't really the nice wife that he thought she was. And so they have that relationship going on because Carol has now died and she is there at the hotel. And then Isaac was going to get married, and now he's not getting married, and he's been kidnapped by one of the ghosts from downstairs and from the well that's obsessed with him. I know it sounds like a lot if you haven't seen it, but I'm probably not describing it as well as I could, but it's a really great show. Then on Mondays, there's The Neighborhood, and basically what The Neighborhood is going to do is they're in its, I want to say season 7, maybe season 8, and they have added a new child. You know, for a while, Grover was the only child in the series. And, I don't know, Grover's like 15 or 16 now. But Marcus has had a baby. And Courtney, who was played by Sky Townsend, is a regular on the show now. And so it's going to be how everybody reacts to a new baby in the neighborhood.
Do you like that idea?
I do.
Okay.
I think it's going to be funny because, you know, it's like Cedric and them, they're empty nesters now in a sense, but they're not because Marcus and Malcolm are in the neighborhood still. And one of the things I wanted to say was that Sky Townsend, who plays Courtney, her dad is Robert Townsend.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Robert Townsend, who is playing the dad of Sydney, Ayo Adebri on The Bear. So there's a father-daughter situation going on and everything. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I was actually guessed by the name, but you never know. Name Townsend doesn't mean
I know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how that's going to work out with the baby and all that. I mean, when they ended the cliffhanger with the whole Tony Braxton, they went to the concert. That was good.
And the baby being born.
Yeah. She was going to move away, and she decided to stay and all that.
And the thing with Marcel Spears, that was kind of based on his real life. Yeah,
he was at the Beyonce counter with his wife, and she went into labor at the counter, and they left, and he was like, okay, we got to go. And she's like, I already brought my silver outfit. I don't want to leave yet. Yeah,
I know. It's so funny. And so then now we're going to the new comedies. There is Poppa's House with Damon Wayans and Sr. and Damon Wayans Jr., and they're playing father and son in the show, and I know, and I want to say Senior and Junior. That's the only way I can distinguish between them now.
Funny.
Yes. Okay, I got a chance to see the first episode. That's at the special screening that they had, and the thing about it was their chemistry is great. Yeah, it's the great situational, comedy. It was good to see them. Good to see them around. Senior plays a radio DJ who's super popular, and I don't know, I guess think Tom Joyner, but he's really like a radio thing. So think if you took Tom Joyner and you took Frasier from television and put them together, he's kind of set in his ways. He's a little bit out there. He likes everything to be the way that he is, and then he gets a partner who played by Essence Atkins. My girl is, television vet, sitcom vet. It was so, so great to have her in that role. Her and Senior's chemistry is going to be really good. So I can't wait to see more of them. Junior is, married. He's got children, and it's like him and his wife. I still have to see how the thing is going to be with that one, but I'm ready for, the father and son chemistry. And then Damon, spoiler alert, he is guesting on the season 2 of Shrinking with Harrison Ford, Jason Segel.
Are you giving out spoilers?
That's playing on Apple. Yeah, I just gave out a spoiler.
Well, so, if you listen to this podcast, you're going to hear some spoilers. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'm hearing some spoilers. I know that plots are embargoed, I'm assuming,
we can't tell you all
I don't think
stuff.
The name's embargoed.
Yeah.
And then speaking of more spoilers, I think that you've seen it before, just expect for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, expect to see some of Georgie's
familiar faces.
Yeah, some familiar faces from the show.
Yeah, that is sometimes they'll tell us we can't give out plot. Sometimes they won't show you anything at all. Yeah. Sometimes you won't get a screener.
Right.
And you're going straight up to a junket or premiere or that. They're not going to give it to you.
Right.
Sometimes they'll give it to you and they'll, have certain things out. And sometimes they'll explain to you. So that's sometimes when you see things and you're reading, you're like, I want to know, I want to know. Sometimes they can't tell you because they don't want to ruin them a surprise, or they don't want it all leaked before it comes out, or they don't want to. Sometimes we have real strict restrictions. Yeah, sometimes we can't say anything, and sometimes we just don't know.
And then a couple of things I do want to say too is that with Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, I love that title. It's all about Georgie and Mandy's Emily Osment and Montana Jordan. And they are a young married couple living their lives, trying to, just everything's hard. You got marriage, you got a baby, you got, new living situation, new job, you got your parents, you got people who don't even want to be around and stuff, so it should be interesting. And he has Will Sasso on there who's playing the father-in-law. He's playing Mandy's father. So it's always good to see him. So
I have a question for you.
It should be good.
Do you think, I did not watch The Big Bang Theory, as you know. I'm probably one of the few. I know it's
Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon.
But I did watch Young Sheldon, and I really like Young Sheldon. And I really like Georgie. If I'm a Young Sheldon fan, is this transition going to be okay for me, or just depends on how much? I love Georgie. Yeah, I like to watch him wearing his little Van Halen shirts and all that. But I always wonder about him with this baby and a wife and all that. Is it going to carry the crowd?
Well, he's grown up.
What do you think?
I think
Is that the way to word it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll feel different, I think, because Young Sheldon was a single camera comedy where
they have an audience.
Yeah. They're taped in front of a live studio audience, and it's 4 cameras, and it's back to the same Big Bang Theory formula in it. I have yet to see, but hey, the one thing about it is that it's Chuck Lorre. And if you look at Chuck Lorre's resume, I think it's going to do well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll get there.
And
people don't
one
think
thing,
it
you got
is.
the
So
curiosity.
watch it.
People are going to be curious to know
if
it's going to take it, or are you going to see Sheldon or somebody else? And
that would be nice to see.
And it takes place, and like as this show's over, it continues right on from there. Do you know?
Yeah,
is there like a gap?
It's pretty. I don't think it's. From what I could tell, it didn't seem like there was much of a gap.
I was just curious. It was like, I think it's not 2024 because of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not 80s. Much of a gap, but it was fine. There, you could tell that they're still in, they're still in the 80s. It's still whatever. They made some references to some of the things that were going on at the time, timeline wise. So I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I was just curious. Mm-hmm. I was just curious to know, and I was like, how can I ask that without, give anything away or get anything? Okay, that's what I wanted to know. That sounds very, very interesting. I'm curious to know what CBS goes, can we say a word about Matlock real quick?
Yes.
Matlock
was so good.
Yeah.
It was very, very interesting. It took a twist that I didn't see coming.
And I usually see these things
I usually
coming.
see
I'll
them
all.
like,
I don't know.
I usually catch everything.
I'm sitting there watching. They don't have a clue.
What I liked about it, let's see. It has Kathy Bates, Bo Bridges, Jason Ritter, Sky Marshall, and it's a procedural. It's lawyers, and all the whole time when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna beat My Good Wife. I don't know if it could beat The Good Wife. When The Good Wife was one of my favorite shows, I don't think if anybody knows that. As far as like procedurals and shows about law offices and things go. But it had a good, good thing, a good procedural. I was thinking Elsbeth, which is a spinoff of The Good Wife. They had so many things going on that I thought that was very interesting. It took a twist. Not giving a twist away. I think it would spoil it if anybody if anybody spoiled the twist and stuff for you. But it makes it interesting. It's like the twist made the show go from a B- to an A++.
Wow.
Which I thought was good.
It was something.
Yeah.
Usually I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You thought it was good too, didn't you?
Yeah, I was watching it and just kicking back. I like seeing Kathy. I was like, wait a minute. That opening, the whole.
Yeah.
The show was aired already.
It was great to see Kathy
aired already.
Yeah.
So we can mention it, but I don't want to mention it because, the sneak peek. Yeah.
And it's going to take its regular spot. I think it's coming on Thursday nights. I apologize for not knowing. But it'll premiere in October, and premiere week for CBS is second week of October.
Yeah,
around the 13th or 14th or something like that. So that should be interesting. I would say for the twist alone, it's a must see.
And I also like it too because it features an older woman.
Yes,
and you don't get many older one on TV. They
even
talked about that, how it was hard to get the whole to get that happening. So
yeah,
I really like that. That's what.
I'm glad she got greenlit, and I was just wondering, like, if it wasn't Kathy Bates,
would
it have gotten greenlit?
Would it have been greenlit?
When they did The Good Wife and The Good Fight, Christine Baranski, she was an older woman, and she led the series for a while. So thank God, they're doing that. So I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, let's go over to Fox.
Oh, let's skip Fox for a half a second.
Okay.
And go to, I have to mention Superman and Lois.
Oh, okay.
Which is on the CW.
No problem.
And I know it wasn't really on the plan or something like that but it's in its last.
Throw in a twist.
Yeah,
We like to throw in a surprise element. Go ahead.
It's in its last season, which is unfortunate because I always thought that Superman and Lois was great. You already had the anchor of Superman. You got the brand that's there. You got you've got good actors. You've got a good story and stuff. So I'd say its final season's coming up. It's going to start airing next month. I recommend that everybody just check out the last season.
Cool. Yeah. So when does it start?
I want to say the 14th or the 17th of October.
17th, and you've seen a couple episodes already?
Yes. I've seen 3 episodes, and they are really good.
Really good. Okay.
Very good. Very emotional. Very, very.
Same 2 boys?
Yeah, except they're not boys. They're young men now. I'm teasing. Okay. Yeah, the twins. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'm into the story. I'm into the feel of it. You really, really get the family unit of the 4 of them, the core dynamic, Superman, Lois, and their 2 kids, Jonathan, Jordan. You really get the feel of that, and I think it's just really good. And Lex Luthor is a really, really good foe to Superman.
Okay.
So I just had to jump that in.
No problem. We're always going to throw in any kind of reference we can to reference the CW.
Yeah, hit the Fox.
Let's talk about, nothing else to say about CW? We'll come back to CW another time.
Yeah.
Fox. Let's talk about Fox.
Go for it.
What's going on over there? They got some new shows. They got some new shows. They got some. One thing I say about Fox, they have a lot of, you got to talk about, they have a lot of staying power for certain things, like their animation.
Yeah.
Department.
Their Sunday night. Animation domination.
It is solid
right.
for how long now?
I don't know. What are they? 35, 36, 37
That's
seasons
right.
For the Simpsons
alone.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine's kid used to watch it, and then one day he's like, "Wait a minute! I used to watch when I was a kid. How could they be the same? Like, wait a minute!"
Yeah.
It was really funny. So that's when we realized how long it had been on. Yeah.
So that's the one thing great about Fox. They also have Crapopolis, Universal Basic Guys, which is a new show they have on for Sunday night, and it's still there. If you like it, go for it.
Yeah, they keep a lot of, it's a steady pace of stuff. I know for a while there, they had a bunch of shows that I was getting into, and they didn't make it for various reasons.
Right.
And so I was kind of like, oh, I'm really nothing to watch now. And then they started coming back with other stuff, and I'm like, okay. So now I'm kind of excited to see they have that Rescue.
Yeah, Rescue High Surf.
Rescue High Surf.
Set in Hawaii. And it's been described as Baywatch, mixed with 911, some kind of procedurals and stuff. It's beautiful looking, a lot of great people, a lot of great actors. I kind of get the Hawaii Five-0 feel without so many people, so much people getting arrested and stuff, and not as much of the heart, but it's still, I feel like it's still a great show. Yeah,
I want to see Ian Anthony Dale's on there. They got a lot of people on there. I'm like, oh, I want to see what these people are going to do. It's I'm curious. I'm curious. I know they did screen a preview of it.
Well, they had their big premiere after the football game on Sunday, so they were able to get a lot of eyeballs and stuff on the show. It's from John Wells, and John Wells he did ER. Oh my God, I apologize for not having my notes. But he does ER, and he's really good at the medical dramas and stuff. So I think this show has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and they have a lot of they actually have a lot of returning stuff. What you got with Missing Persons Unit, the cleaning lady. Yeah. They have Family Guy. They have the great. There's a lot of stuff really going on. Yeah. The Lego Masters. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, and Crime Scene Kitchen. Yeah. They have The Floor, one of my favorites.
Yeah, The Floor.
Yeah, yes. Which is going to be bigger and better this time. So I'm looking forward to watching new seasons of that. That should happen. And
the 911, Lone Star. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of things that are going on. But I got to talk about my all-time favorite. I was going to say. Masked Singer.
Yes. It's so good.
Masked Singer is back. Yes. It starts on Wednesday if you haven't been keeping up. Now I have friends all along. I talk about the Masked Singer all along. And
Too much.
What is this crazy show?
Too much.
What are you watching?
And all I'm to say is that it's one of the best reality shows on television.
I just remember I was telling one of my friends about something, and usually when rumors start going, people start saying, "Oh, so and so's on so and so." Yeah. I'll guess people, and I'll put on Facebook and I'll Twitter. And I'll go. come on. Like last year when Charlie Wilson was on there, he did everything but say, my name is Charlie, last name Wilson.
My name is Charlie, last name Wilson.
And so,
I did not sing it.
Yeah, don't sing. We don't need RC it. Don't.
Yeah.
RC it coming after us. Anyway, and so so I always say something. So people go, what is the show? You guess better than me, or you guess whatever. So it's kind of interesting. And then I have some friends that are like, I'm not turning the show on. Then if you start, usually what happens is there's somebody that catch your interest before it's over.
Right.
Someone you like, or someone you hear, or you're seeing everyone on social media talking about it, or everything else. I know the first time I went to watch the show, we went to this like premiere party of the show, and I thought, what on earth is this? This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I ended up enjoying it so much. The costumes are great.
Yeah, I think their costumes are great this year too. Every season I say, oh my God, the costumes are great. I know that there have been previews that people have seen on television of coming up of the ship.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is such a really, really cute costume.
Yeah.
And they're doing it again where there's five contestants in the group A that's coming up. They're having theme nights. You get to see Footloose.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
And something else. So it should be interesting. Rita Ora is back.
Yeah.
Again as one of the panelists.
In place of Nicole.
Returning with Jenny, Ken, Robin, and Nick as the host. So it's still good.
Yeah, you got the same people. And one thing they're doing this year, I guess it's not a spoiler, but anyway, they're trying contestant with the opening show, and they have a formal contestant. Maybe just for this episode. I don't know if it's going to be.
Oh, the ambassador? The alum?
Yeah, they came on and they introduced this contestant.
I think that's all
and kind of mentioned
long.
Their connection to this to this person. So that kind of gives you a clue based on that clue.
Yeah, I'd like that they give you a little bit more verbal clues and stuff too, because sometimes when you get those little clues in the packages, I miss those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll say a clue and I'm just like, oh, that's so obvious sometimes. And then sometimes they'll say another clue and it could possibly, the very first clues could be anyone.
Right.
Like they say something and then they'll name some clues and you're thinking, wow, it's going to be this big, singer like a Kelly Clarkson, and then it's like some Olympic person who half of us haven't heard of.
Yeah,
who also
a name
sings.
who you don't recognize.
Yeah, you don't recognize offhand.
Right.
So there's always going to be like, and the first episode usually is some big person. It's usually like this big celebrity or a big person that comes on. Like, I'll do the first couple episodes, and they'll kick me off. Not saying that it's planned that way or anything like that, but so this episode that's coming up on Wednesday should have a big person ending or whatever,
Yeah, we hope so. They've had a lot of good people. People in the past have been who? Wayne Brady. We had country singer Jewel.
Yes,
we had Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. We had Chaka Khan. We had Lil Wayne. Yeah.
And one thing about that show,
of people.
They will have some of the best singers on that show, and they always get eliminated.
Yeah.
And I always think it's because you have this audience there, and they're voting, and I think the audience, people that are in the audience are voting for, like, the flashy colors or the bright lights. True. Or whatever. So if you're like,
or sometimes like if you can be colorful, when you go and you sing karaoke, and you are not good at all, but you're putting your heart into it, you get personality, so people are into it. So I think that's what you get a lot too.
But I think it's kind of funny because I kind of think like this show, the best singers are gonna get kicked off. We had like Toni Braxton, Gladys Knight, Pam, like the top singers, like the top singers, and they don't make it to the final thing, which is so funny. I think I should say
it happens,
but I think that's why it is. But we did see a preview of the episode, and I don't remember if there's any like changes from last season besides that ambassador thing that I caught on to.
Not that I can
Ken
remember.
Is still there being Ken, Jenny's still being Jenny,
right?
Robin, and then Rita's once again taking Nicole's place.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know if there's anything, just the same old fun.
And if you don't watch the show because you think it's ridiculous, tune in once. Just tune in. See if you like it. It's a family show. People like to watch it with their families. One big thing. When they eliminate contestants and these contestants say...
I've watched it for my kids.
I watch my kids and my
right.
grandkids, so that's why they did it.
Right.
That's finds out. So I think you should definitely tune in and watch it. We don't know who got kicked off because they wouldn't tell us, So
right.
We did get to see the show, which was
good.
It's
into what, season 11 now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knew? That's a show I thought, it'd be good. Watch a couple seasons.
Yeah.
Then they did a Summer Woman Dance. I'm like, this show is still around.
I know.
And it's one of the shows that comes on twice a year that I haven't burned out on. Sometimes when shows come on like twice a year.
Oh, yeah.
And you start to burn out on whatever. But,
as long as the costumes are still looking good and Ken's there to provide some entertainment for me, the chemistry with with the panelists and with Nick still works, then it's good so far.
And one thing I find out, because there's so much like confidentiality on that show because they tape it in advance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting, actually, they're not taping as far as they used to. And it could be because of the pandemic. They tape the same studio the American Idol tapes once again over in Hollywood. And everyone, you show up there, you have to be completely in a sweatshirt and a thing. You cannot be anywhere.
Yeah, you got to be completely covered.
So it's hard to get in.
They've kept,
if you go,
they've kept the secrets pretty well as far as who the contestants
you sign
are. They've done a good
job. You sign a confidentiality agreement. There's a
serious
big fine.
Yeah.
You leak it. At one time, someone said they went to a taping, and then somehow something happened, and everyone who was at that taping couldn't go to the next taping.
They had to leave,
they had to go. They had to look at all the NDAs to see or whatever. So if you do go, they do tape here in Hollywood, and if you do go to a taping, don't say nothing.
They're a lot of fun.
It's a lot of don't say nothing. Don't even come. Don't tell your family. Don't tell
you
grandma.
Ain't going back.
It just ain't worth it.
Think of it like jury duty.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to discuss the cases, anyone outside of it. Do that.
Just do that. It's just easier because it just really isn't worth them. They're really strict. And if you with like the publicist of someone like that, you come with them, you have to then be in a disguise because people will see you. Yeah. And the funniest thing, one of the guys on the show, I won't say his name, but one of the contestants on the show told us one time he was in the car because a certain car picks you up and he's wearing his Don't Talk to Me sweatshirt and his mask and he sees another car and the person in the car has that and he goes, wait a minute, that person's going to the Masked Singer. We must live by each other.
Yeah,
and then they found out later, my neighbor, wait a minute. So then they end up meeting up later. And then they said how it's funny how you're on the show and you start figuring out other contestants that you're on the show with because you know their voices.
Everybody's guessing too.
You're like, wait a minute,
but
I'm guessing because
what I like about it too is a lot of people love to they go to Twitter, they go to Masked Singer Twitter, they talk about who they think it's going to be, who it's not going to be.
I always tweet it,
But a lot of fun is in the guessing.
Oh yeah,
which I think is a great idea.
I always say it, and then it's funny too. I always have to get on Robin. I'm like, Robin, you worked with that person. Come on, Robin, think you know that voice and whatever, but I think it's interesting. Then sometimes you at home watch it and you're like, come on. But when you're in that place, isn't that easy? Because you don't have, your thesaurus of, like things as each week goes on.
My internet.
Yeah, as each taping goes, you start knowing stuff. Because when you say that.
Or who grew up in New Jersey or who went to school in France.
I know so-and-so because she has two. I'm like, I know everything about music and I don't know how many Grammys so-and-so had. I thought Robin Thicke had one. Was mad at that show for how many
it was 14 Emmys this season. And then what I thought was funny was one of the clues was that 5 of the people know Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
That's a clue now.
That's a clue.
And I'm
somebody knows Beyonce. Like, wait a minute.
I bought a Taylor Swift album at one point. That's a clue now.
Yeah.
I know Taylor Swift. That's a clue. Okay. I thought that was kind of funny.
Or they go, so many stars on the Walk of Fame. Well, that could be anyone. So many Grammys. So many songs.
Right.
But I love that show. It's coming on. It's just, I just like watching the Masked Singer.
Yeah.
And if you don't, oh well.
It's very.
Or if you're listening now going.
Yeah, you can skip this part, but come right back.
If you're listening now,
we're moving on.
Let's move on. Let's close this out talking about ABC.
ABC.
High Potential. Start with High Potential. Okay. You called it.
High Potential is my favorite show of the season so far. It's funny. It's witty. It has really, really good chemistry with Caitlin Olsen. And she plays a cleaning lady, in a sense, who works in the police department after hours. And while she's there, she, has an IQ of over 160. And while she's there, she stumbles upon one of the cases, and she solves the case for the cops overnight. And when they find out that she can do that, they recruit her to help them. I don't know. It's one of those things where I like the show. It's really, really great. If you think of, and I say this all the time, I think of Veronica Mars, that little show where Kristen Bell starred in it, and she was a high school person who was a detective, who turned out to be a detective. So I think if Veronica Mars grew up, and 10 to 20 years later, she would be this character, Morgan. Judy Reyes is there, and then it has Javisa Leslie in it, who is one of the detectives on the show, and she played Batgirl on the CW. So it's really nice to see her around again. All the cast have chemistry. I like her family. She has 3 kids. She has an ex. Like everybody else, she has a teenage daughter who hates her at the moment, loves her sometime, hates her sometime. She has a son who's about 10, and he has inherited her mind, her brilliance and stuff. The boy's a little genius. Her teenage daughter doesn't think that she has anything in common with the mother, doesn't know what's going on. Everybody's going through, the teenage years, and this daughter too. And they solve cases. It's a really, really good show. I was very happy that it's getting good ratings across the board, getting good word of mouth. I can't talk about the show enough. I've seen like 3 or 4 episodes, and it's a must-see. It comes on Tuesday nights after Dancing with the Stars, and watch it.
Yeah. So in the new shows,
it's one of my favorite shows of the season so far.
We have the Golden Bachelor, Golden Bachelorette's back. We have the Street Makeover, the home edition, which is coming on mid-season, and we have High Potential.
Yes, Dr. Odyssey.
Dr. Odyssey. Can we talk about Dr. Odyssey for a second?
Go for it.
Dr. Odyssey. We got to give a heads up and a high five to the publicity team that is working the TV show Dr. Odyssey. Yeah,
they're having really great pop-ups around the city to get people used to it.
There's billboards everywhere. There's this weekend they did a pop-up.
Yeah.
Where if you were at a mall, certain malls, if you were at a hotel, a friend of mine was staying down at the Hotel Ziggy, which is what it's called Hotel Ziggy now, but he used to call it
down on Sunset Strip.
Down on Sunset Strip, and when they came out to the pool, they had like a Dr. Odyssey towel and a Dr. Odyssey bag. And Dr.
Great
Odyssey,
promotion.
Dr. Odyssey pillow. My friend goes, "Oh, this Dr. Odyssey show." I'm like, "Oh, give me that pillow." And I'm like, "Wait, what's going on? Where?" And it was like, there. Right. Then you go over to the brand. They had like just a display of anyone walking around town getting about the show. So what happens, you start getting free stuff. People love free stuff.
Yeah, one of my favorite 4-letter words.
Yeah. Free, food, cash. Anyway.
Cash, sale, love,
sale,
cake.
See, you have a lot of form anyway. But so people start talking about it, and then they start talking, "Oh, it's a new show coming on.
Yeah,
it's on
a new
ABC.
show.
It has Don Johnson. People love Don Johnson.
Love Don Johnson, me included. Yeah. Joshua Jackson. It has Philippa Sue,
Yeah.
who is Eliza from Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Eliza.
Mm-hmm. Are you trying to get us in trouble with these singing songs?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Lynn would probably have no problem with me singing that. He'd probably be happy with it. Lynn seems very, very cool.
I'm
talking about Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Miranda is very, very cool.
Who Lynn's I tried to find out at his star if I could, get close to him, and I couldn't. But anyway.
We met everybody but him.
I know.
At that star ceremony.
But
we saw his dad. We saw every celebrity that came to that star.
Right.
We were in there talking to everything else. But he was sick that day. So he was sick, so he took off right after he got the star. But anyway.
One of the things is, like,
his people may not want to sing his song.
Okay, then I won't sing it. Okay. So Philippa Sue, who is one of the Fines from Hamilton, one of the talent Fines, she's on there. She's playing a nurse with Don Johnson and Joshua Johnson. Don's the captain. And what I think about is that it's set on a cruise ship. They shoot a lot in Miami, all the exteriors. And what I like about it is, think of it as the Love Boat, meaning that there's going to be different people coming on and stuff. I think like Shania Twain's on the first episode. Chelsea Ballerini is one of...
guest stars come in and out and whatever. Yeah.
Kelsey Ballerini is one of the guests that's coming up, and it's just like it's a drama, it's a medical drama, and then it's got the sexiness of Joshua and Don.
Do you think we're gonna get some singing? I know that came up during the Emmys. You think with Don Johnson singer, we got Phyllis, think we're gonna do like singing?
Okay,
Shania Twain's gonna be there running around.
I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. However, because it's a cruise ship, and we know from cruise ships, they all have like a full on like Broadway shows. Yep. They'll have concerts. Yep. A lot of time, casinos.
The buffet.
Everything for the kids. Oh, the buffet.
The lonely person.
I gotta stop.
The person that goes by themselves. That kind of, the grandma person that comes and wants to meet everybody.
Now I'm getting off topic, but one of my favorite movies is now Voyager.
Yes.
Yes. Which is Betty Davis, and she goes on a cruise, and she comes back a completely different woman. She, gets her awakening as a sense. And so I think a lot of people will go to that and maybe have lessons learned. It's a Ryan Murphy drama. Ryan Murphy's been really, really busy this fall.
He's got, Ryan Murphy has 7 shows?
I know.
7 shows coming out this month.
There's a lot going on.
And I think that's because of the writer's strike as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But he has 911. He's got the Dr. Odyssey. 911 Lone Star, which I think is in its last season coming up. Yeah, all the cable shows. So there's a lot going on. But I say, it's one to check out. It's one of the things where I kind of say, if you get a chance, watch every new show if you can, at least once. And then you can taper off all the ones that you probably aren't going to watch because there's only so many shows that you can watch during the day. But what I do like about the networks is that it's must-see television, where you watch one episode one week and then you come back the next week for the next episode. And so we got Tracker returning on CBS. Oh my God, Queen Latifah, Equalizer returning.
Yes.
Yeah, all the FBI shows returning. Blue Bloods is coming into its final. I know it's coming into its final season.
That is just so sad. I remember
when
Donnie Walker told us he was going for the audition.
Yes.
The very next day after this after party after a new, and we said, "Good luck, Donnie." On this pilot. Little did we know this was going to be Blue Bloods.
Right.
He told us all about the pilot. We're like, oh, good luck.
Yeah.
And little did we know. And now it's over.
I know. And then ABC has, some of their old favorites. Grey's Anatomy's coming back for, another season. People tend to love that. I mentioned 911, I believe.
Yeah, Dance with the Stars.
Dance with the Stars. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of TV coming up this fall.
And don't forget the comedy, Albert Elementary.
Yes. Abbott Elementary is coming back next month. Yeah. I want to say October 9th, which is one of the great shows and stuff. So
waiting for that one.
Right.
But I think the hot new show, is going to be Dr. I mean, they're just going all out with it. I mean, the TV guy, it's like everywhere. And then they did this big premiere. They
it got a lot of
It's got a lot.
The trailer got a lot of views.
That trailer broke a record of people just watching to see it. And I'm like, is it the curiosity? Is it something like that too? I'm like, they're just doing a really good job. Yeah. I hope people really enjoy when it comes out. They just had a big premiere over in Bel Air.
And I got to give a shout out to Paris Barclay, one of the showrunners. Yes, he's really good. Paris has done a lot of shows. Sons of Anarchy. He did NYPD Blue for a while. Just a lot of things that are going on.
So I'm really happy for Paris. This is his big show, and I know they're already talking about, potentials for the next season.
Right.
And everything else. I'm like, this show is getting so much hype. It hasn't even aired yet. Right. So I think, and then just the promotion that I'm seeing, I mean, I take it the promotion's going on in other areas as well. And the actors are all out now doing publicity and doing press for it now. It was a big thing at the Emmys, all the people there talking about it. So I think that's really going to be, it's really, really going to be something. And not to mention, they use Genius's Love in the...
Oh, yeah, the promo for the songs have been really great.
Georgie, which is a sample of Genius's Love from the Tom Tom Club back in the 80s. Tina and Chris killed that song.
But they got all different ones. Yeah. They've even had the Beach Boys. Yeah, there's a lot of different things.
The music is tying into it. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's going to be tight.
Excellent promotion. So I definitely think that's going to be a big hit. And there's so many other shows we don't have time to talk about.
Nope.
We'll come back.
Yeah. We'll come back and get a chance to throw more things in. And we'll talk a little bit more about, the cable ones that are coming up.
Yeah.
There's a lot
We'll do a part
TV
2 to talk about
on.
cable and all that. And so that'll be it. So we'll end a little bit.
Yeah.
And Phyllis, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me. I'm Phyllis_Thomas or Phyllis S. Thomas somewhere. Just look for me. And you can always find me at TVMusicNetwork.com.
That's true. So just look for you somewhere, anywhere, somewhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Belinda, what about you?
I'm Belinda's LA Music on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Anywhere you can find me. Also, you could also find us on TV Music Network, on this podcast. We have website, Twitter, Facebook, everything else.
Yeah.
And our podcast is on anywhere you can find podcasts.
Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Amazon. Just look. We're around.
Just look. We're around. Tell everybody to listen as well.
Ask your friends.
And that's about it. Closing us out today. We have our own song.
Yeah.
We don't need Genius of Love.
Yeah. We don't.
Not Genius of Love.
We got our own song.
We got our own song. And it's written to us. It's written and used for us with permission by our good friends, John Morgan and Dave Simiak. And
Thanks,
it's called
guys.
Eden.
Eden.
Take it away.
Thank you. You guys have a good one. Goodbye.